Hello everyone. So in previous videos we covered the concept of polymorphism. What we didn't cover was that there is another more conceptual way to look at polymorphism, and that is that any derived class is technically many classes. Therefore, it is polymorphic. Let's go ahead and consider the following example. Go ahead and create a base class here of animal. Let's go ahead and let's give animal two methods. One for eat, console. And maybe we should put that semicolon there. And then one override for the toString method. We're going to have this return I am an animal. All right. Then we're going to go ahead and let's define two more classes. So class mammal, which is derived from animal, and class giraffe, which is derived from mammal. Now, C# has two operators that we haven't talked about before that are useful for testing if an object is of a particular type and for casting an object to that type. And those are the is and as operators. Now, the advantage of these operators is that they mitigate the risk of causing an invalid cast exception in your code. Let's go ahead and let's look at the is operator first. We're going to go ahead and create a new method here, static void is operator, and it takes in an instance of animal. Now, what the is operator does is you can go ahead and use it basically with an if statement to say if object is another object. Okay? The is operator returns true or false. See, represents a Boolean true or false value. So if we continue with this example here, console.writeLine, let's go ahead and a.getType. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and to try these out, we're going to define a giraffe and we're going to define an animal. And then we're going to call the is operator. And we're going to pass it to giraffe. And we're going to call it again and we're going to pass it the animal. Now, giraffe is being passed in and we're going to see is giraffe a mammal. And then we're going to pass an animal and is the animal a mammal. Now you'll see that the is operator takes in an object of type animal. Both giraffe and animal are of type animal. And that is because an animal is obviously an animal. Okay? It is the base class. And a giraffe is an animal because a giraffe inherits from mammal, which in turn inherits from animal. Just like giraffe has all of the same properties and methods that animal has, because mammal has them, giraffe also contains the type animal. Okay? It is type animal. So let's go ahead and let's run this example right here. And I'm missing a semicolon right there. Oh, no, just straight semicolon. Go ahead and get rid of that. And we'll run it again. All right, now you'll see I get eating and animal is not a mammal. So when I passed in giraffe to the is operator, if A is mammal, call a.eat. A.eat will just return eating. So when giraffe was passed in, this statement returned true. Giraffe is a mammal. However, when animal is passed in, Okay? Animal is not a mammal because animal is the base class and mammal is derived from animal. Therefore, an animal cannot be a mammal. Now, another thing that you can do with the is operator is not only just perform a check, but you can also cast, okay, and create a temporary variable. Now, what this is going to do is it will say if the animal object I've passed in is a mammal, assign or cast and assign the casted animal to the m variable. And then I could call m here instead. I just see it in action here. Eating animal is not a mammal. Now, I cannot, however, use m down here. That's because m was defined as part of this if statement. Okay? So that means m only will exist if it is true, if a is mammal, therefore m will be created and will be assigned the newly created mammal, and it will exist within this if statement. However, if this is statement fails and returns false, then m never existed. Now, an is operator is great for saying, I need a true false. I need to see is this object this other object. Okay? On the other hand, you have the as operator, which let's go ahead and, to get us started here, let's go ahead and copy this. Okay? Now the as operator, we're going to modify this a bit. We're going to take in a generic object. No? I'm going to call it variable O. And then we are going to use a var here because we're going to use a base object of O. O as mammal. Okay? If m does not equal null, okay, console.writeLine m dot, oh, sorry there, get rid of those quotes, m dot to string. It looks like I have something wrong here. That's supposed to be an O, not a 0. Okay. Else console.writeLine o.getType.name is not a mammal. Okay. So, whereas the is operator returns true or false, right? If is a mammal, what the as operator does is it performs just the cast here, and it's saying cast this object as this object and store it in var m. Now, the as operator will return null if I was unable to go ahead and make the cast. So that means that var m will go ahead and be null if O cannot be cast as mammal. Now, if we go back here, sticking with the same examples we did where we used giraffe and animal. Now, a giraffe, again, can be cast as a mammal because it is derived from mammal. Therefore, m will not be null. But animal cannot be cast as a mammal, as we saw with the is operator. That means m will be null and will fall through here. So let's go ahead and let's comment out the two calls to the is operator, and then let's run this again. I am an animal. Animal is not a mammal. So we are seeing that giraffe does not return null and therefore calls the toString method. Okay, I am an animal. Whereas animal cannot be cast as mammal. And we fall through to this if statement. Now, the advantages around using is and as is, of course, you've got the fact that they do it in two completely different ways. The is operator can be used without an assignation cast and can just go ahead and be used to compare. Is this object this other object? True or false? And then if you want, you can go ahead and you can assign to a temporary variable. Whereas with the as operator, you're going to get back either the object that you've casted to, or you're going to get back null because it wasn't able to make a cast. You're not going to get the true false, and in this case then you have to go ahead and check to see is something null. Whereas up here it's simple as using the is operator to go ahead and perform your if check in the first place. If I were to go ahead and use a direct cast, something you've seen before like this, I can go ahead and this is just fine. However, if G cannot be cast to mammal, this code will actually throw an error and cause my application to crash. So this is the disadvantage to using a direct cast as opposed to using the is and as operators.